Hello everyone, we're back today. Today it's only me and Chenai. We thought that we will touch upon some basics. I ask you a lot of questions when we are working out.
Okay.
And I realized there's so much I didn't know why we do what we do. And I feel like a child whenever I'm around you. And I love asking you questions. So this episode is going to be about that. It would be nice if you could enlighten people on some fundamentals of working out. Things like, why do we warm up? Why do we stretch? How it affects our workout if we don't stretch or warm up properly? Why do we inhale and exhale? So I know whenever I'm working out, I stop breathing, and you're like, inhale, exhale.
Exactly. Take a deep breath.
Exactly.
Yeah,
so why is that important?
Yeah.
Why do we have different rep ranges? So every 2 months you change, the load. And sometimes I'm doing 6 to 12, 12 to 20, 15 to 20.
Yeah, absolutely.
So why do we do that? And why do we run out of energy?
Yeah, that's a very good question.
Yeah.
Why do we run out of energy?
And why do we feel the burn? So when I'm working out, I feel, I'm doing my lunges, I feel burn in certain places when I'm doing my biceps.
Yeah, that's more.
Exactly.
Okay.
So why is it that in certain parts or certain muscles, I feel more burn than the others?
Okay.
So let's kick off.
Yeah. So I'm just going to try to we are just going to look at each question one by one and try to simplify it in such a way that I'm glad that you brought it up. I just got a new client this week. Also, you kind of feel like every time you get a new person in, you have to go down to the basics.
Yes.
Try to, it's like everyone breathes, everyone does.
Yeah.
People breathe. I mean, you can't be walking or moving without breathing.
Yeah.
Everyone breathes, but we just bring it to their consciousness that you need to really take a deep breath in. And also, how do you take it in? How do you take it out? Through the nose, through the mouth, and for various reasons. And also, how is it necessary and helpful to your performance in the gym? So we're just going to look at this. So let's start with the first one, why do we warm up? Okay, I get people. I used to do that when I started as well. Just walk into the gym and start pounding weights without even doing anything to prepare your body for it. It's like walking into a restaurant.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden you just order the main meal.
Yeah.
It doesn't prepare you for that meal. So what mostly happens is when you get into a restaurant, the waiter comes over and they ask you, do you want water, or what can you get you for a drink, or do you want some bread? So they put bread there in front of you. The whole idea is try to tickle your taste buds.
Yeah.
Try to get your jaw muscles working, to try to mimic what you're going to be doing later on to prepare your body for what's going to happen. So when you come into the gym, the whole reason, before you do anything, put your back down, take a deep breath, just relax and let the body prepare itself. So so this whole thing starts even the day before. You prepare, the way you're going to eat. Obviously, you have to have a healthy nutrition. Then you sleep properly. You come into the gym. And what I normally do is, even the day before, I try to visualize like what you have a program like Monday, you're going to do legs and shoulders, chest.
Yeah.
Then come Wednesday, you do the rest of the body. Then we do some circuit training or you do calisthenics. So the day before, if you know what you're going to do, the body, you visualize what you're going to go through. Then the body prepares itself. So when you come to the gym, let also the body prepare itself what it is going to go through. So if I'm going to train, what I normally do is try to get the body ready. So the first thing is either there are 2 ways of doing it, or there are many ways, but the common thing is to go on the treadmill, run for 5 minutes, or walk for the first 2 minutes, then run for the last 3 minutes, 5 minutes. Others, they do it functionally. Like for example, if you're going to do legs, some they will just come in, body weight, they do some lunges and lateral rotations just to get the legs, the upper body, the core ready for what it's going to do. So what that does to your heart rate, we call it a pulse raiser. It raises your heart. So your heart has to be, if you are a person who is into personal tools, like me and the rest of most of the people who use like your smartwatches, Garmin watch, Fitbit. So if your heart rate goes up to 120, they say that is the benchmark. now your body is ready. Your heart is beating so fast that it can transport nutrients and oxygen to the exercising muscles, because these muscles, they're going to demand those things for them to perform. Then also, your body, the same thing when you get the nuts in the restaurant, your saliva, you start to produce saliva so that everything is moist, everything is working, your teeth, they are also ready. So the same thing, the body releases fluids, especially along joints. They are fluids, what you call synovial fluid. It's like a lubricant, so it allows the joints to glide past each other. It allows the joints to move so freely and so smoothly. So if you just go into squatting without doing this, there's too much, it's too dry.
Yeah.
And obviously there's going to be bound to be a lot of friction, then you have issues. And the muscles themselves, they have to warm up. Muscles, they get warm. And when muscles are warm, then they are a bit softer, they are a bit looser, and then they can start performing as well. And also there are certain enzymes and chemicals in the body that starts to be released so that the body can start. So most of these chemical processes, they are enzyme driven. So certain enzymes, they have to be released for you to start using the ATP. We are going to talk about the muscles. You were also looking at that other question where you said when you started, it was so hard for you to lift the 2.5 kg and the 10 kg.
Yeah.
So we're going to look at that as well. So the thing is, one, your heart rate goes up, your muscles get warm, your joints, they get the fluid that they need, they become so lubricant, and then the whole body is ready to start training. Then, so you mimic what you're going to do, so that when you go to the action, the body has already prepared itself. And so what you also do is that you find that your first set, we call it also a warm-up set.
Yeah.
And where you have to do 20 reps, regardless of what you're going to do, which stage of your periodization, you have to do 20 reps, so that you mimic what you're going to do, so that the body knows, the mind and the muscles are connecting. There's what they call neuromuscular coordination, mind and muscle connection. If I'm going to do legs, my leg muscles and my mind, they have to connect. Okay, this is what we're going to do. Then the mind prepares itself for a heavier load. Then it can take that load. So that's the main reason why we warm up.
Is it also affect your efficiency and avoid injuries if we warm up?
So now that also these muscles are warm, they are so flexible, they are very smooth, they are gliding. We'll talk about the sliding filament theory. They are gliding past each other so smoothly. There's not too much friction. Your fluids, it's like a car engine. When it runs out of oil, it's going to knock. Then you start hearing funny noises like in the car. The same thing with your joints. You find that if your joints are too dry, you start feeling some funny sounds, popping, crackles. Like most of the time, it's like you have popping knees or crackles in the joints. These are the things that happen because one, either you didn't stretch enough or you didn't warm up enough. So now when you force a muscle, all of a sudden, I'm going to do a 20 kg squat without warming up. That's a sudden shock to the muscle, and the muscle is not been flexed, so it's going to snap because it's a sudden load, and the muscle is not ready to take it. Then it just, because it's still tight, it's not flexible enough. It snaps or it just tears up, or you can have a strain. Then also the joints, but they're still too dry. You're trying to get it through a full range of motion. Then it's going to just too much, and you can break a bone easily. So it's really essential to warm up so that you are flexible. And you avoid injuries because the muscle is now ready to go through that full range of motion.
It's amazing. So that's good to know. I think we underestimate the power of warm-up.
Exactly.
But I do understand that now. And what about stretching?
Yeah, so that takes us to stretching as well. So normally I do the warm-up, I do the stretches. Now my muscles are a bit loose, they're warm, then I do stretching. Now by stretching, you're trying to take that muscle that you're going to train through its fuller range of motion. For example, if I'm going to do legs, I have to do the hamstring stretch, I have to do the couch stretch, I have to do the glute bridge. Just try to get those muscles, your hip flexors, your hamstrings, your glutes, to go through. So if I'm going to touch my toes in this way, so my hamstring, you're going to force it to go through that fuller range. So by the time you go to your leg extensions, it's ready for that action. So if you go to a leg extension without stretching the hamstring, then obviously you're going to force it to stretch that much. It's going to have an issue. Even if your hip flexor has not been stretched by doing the couch stretch, then also it's going to be, because it's too tight, then all of a sudden you just go take it through a tighter movement or shorten it quickly, then also it can have issues. Then it can just bulge up, and you can actually, I've had issues where people, because you haven't warmed up, someone is doing a bicep, all of a sudden they go and pick up a heavier weight, they try to curl, then the bicep will just snap.
Ooh.
And you hear it's like a bomb. You just loud pop, the tendon detaches from the bicep muscle, then the bicep will just bulge up here. Then you have, and it's so these are the things that one, stretching helps you to be safe.
Yeah.
And also it helps you to perform exercise very efficiently, because you're going to go through a fuller range of motion.
Yeah.
And there's no restriction. And when you do it, you don't feel restrictions, because the knees are smooth, your joints are smooth, everything is working effectively. And your heart, that's the very essential. Your heart is able to pump as fast as it can to support whatever performance you're doing as such.
That's good to know. So approximately how many? 10 to 15 minutes
So,
ideally before a workout?
So essentially, people will come to the gym. I mean, for someone who's very effective, efficient, that is why we normally have 1 hour sessions. The 5 minutes is for warm up.
Okay.
Then you also have another 5 minutes at the end. Then, so that's 10 minutes.
Okay.
Then the other 5 minutes is for stretching before you do your session. Now that leaves you 45 minutes. Now for someone who knows what he's going to do, he has a plan in place.
Yeah.
He has a program that he's going to follow.
Yeah.
And he has his goals in place.
Yeah.
Yes. 45 minutes is enough for the gym to train.
Okay.
That's enough. And also, apart from the fact that if you do more than an hour, the body starts to fight you back.
Okay.
Then it starts to release cortisol, the stress hormones. Then it starts to negate or start to eat on your protein, starts to eat on the muscles. Then it's like law of diminishing returns. You don't get anything significant or any significant gains from doing more after that. Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting. And that also brings us to this thing about breathing. The number of times, even after all this while, you're like, Sachi, inhale, exhale. And when there's too much load, especially when I realize when there's too much load on my body, I tense up.
Exactly.
And I stop breathing.
That's
and I'm still not conscious of it. And you have to keep reminding me, though it's something that is very, very basic. So why is it that we inhale at a certain time, exhale at a certain time? What is the science behind it?
So the inhaling, everyone, like I said, we breathe. That's one of the life processes that basically define that we are a living organism. We breathe just like plants, they breathe. So we take in oxygen, release carbon dioxide.
Yeah.
So, and the question is, so why is it so significant that when you are training, I need to hear you breathing? It's because if you take in a deep breath, so you're going to take in oxygen.
Yeah.
So what it does, oxygen is like your matchstick.
Okay.
It's going to light up everything in the body. Then, so you have taken that's something we're going to talk about later. You take your glucose. For your glucose to release energy, it goes through a lot step-by-step biochemical reactions in the cells. Then at the end, you have your carbon dioxide, you have your water, and energy as such. So that is what happens. So your oxygen is the one that lights up all that process, and then you get those. So if you don't take enough oxygen, one, obviously, your energy release efficiency is very, very low. So if instead of, because what happens with one glucose molecule, you're supposed to produce about 36 to 38. We'll also explain why the difference, ATP molecules.
Yeah.
So if you don't take enough oxygen, you're not going to release as much ATP molecules, which is the form initial energy is stored in the body. So one, you are not releasing enough ATP, which is the energy currents of the body. So you're not going to perform as effectively. So I used to do that as well when I started. I never really paid attention to breathing. Then when I went for my certification, then the lecturer told me that, okay, Chenai, come and do some dips. Then I did dips the way I normally do it. Then all of a sudden he said, okay, Chenai, come back. Let's start doing it this way. Then I was taking a deep breath on my eccentric phase, then exhale on the concentric phase. Then like when you're dipping, you take a deep breath in. When you come up, you exhale. Then I found that I can actually do an extra 10 reps because I was releasing enough energy. And also the body, you see, in meditation, when you take a deep breath, it has this calming effect.
Yes.
So the muscles tend to relax as well. You're not too tense, you're relaxed.
Yeah.
Then when you're not relaxed, everything is working so efficiently.
Yeah.
So when you take in oxygen, when you take a deep breath, you fill up your lungs with oxygen.
Yeah.
That allows you to release a lot of energy, and also it has that relaxing mode, what we call PNF, proprioceptive nuclear facilitation, which allows your muscles to just relax and perform effectively. Then the exhaling part, if you carbon dioxide,
Yeah.
you have to release it, because if it builds up in the body, it becomes too acidic. And the body, if your body or the muscles are soaked in acid, then that's another problem. You start to have some of the effects, or it makes you feel tired, lethargic,
Okay.
and also you feel like you're suffocating, you're running out of energy, and some people hyperventilating and such. So it's essential that people, so when you come in the first time, actually I don't know why, for some reason, when people are doing exercise, so when you put effort, that's when you're supposed to breathe out.
Yeah.
When you relax, that's when you breathe in. So for example, if I'm squatting,
Yeah.
if I'm going down, that's
Yeah.
when I breathe in, because I'm relaxed, I'm going down.
Yeah.
Then when I come up, I have to exhale.
Breathe out.
Exactly. But it's the
Okay.
funny thing is that everyone that I've come across, even myself included, we tend to do it the opposite way. So when you're going down, that's when you want to breathe out. I'm like, dude, let's do it the opposite way. So it takes time to learn that, but once you start learning it and you get it, then you find that it makes a huge difference. It's like day and night. So someone was like, no, Chenai, I'm breathing, but let me hear you breathing. Let me hear you exhale.
Yes.
And also let me hear you take a deep breath in. And also why through the nose? Because the nose is meant for air. That's where everything is supposed to be happening. We have to take air through the nose.
Yeah.
For one, that's where all the filters are. If you have any dust that is traveling, it is trapped along the hair filters in the nose. And also there's mucus, which allows it to make it smooth and warm and moist. Then everything is efficient. It can go there, then straighten the lungs. Then it's distributed through the body to the muscle cells where it is needed. Then exhaling, obviously, there's a huge buccal cavity where you can release more.
Yeah.
Then, yes.
It's true. I mean, like you said, breathing in also makes the body feel safe. Apparently, in psychology, they say, in spirituality, they say that the point of breathing and from a scientific perspective, it's all about releasing oxygen in your body, but your body needs to feel safe. And that's when I have too much weight on me, I just feel so scared. I just become so stiff.
And anyone who's panicking, just imagine if there's an accident, or someone faints, the first thing that you're going to do is, just take a deep breath.
Yeah.
Calm down. So the same thing applies when you're training. It's like meditative. When you take that deep breath, it has that calming effect, and you feel your body is loose. And when everything is loose, you're not tense. Yeah. And when you're not tense, then you perform efficient.
Yeah, that's true. So since we're talking about inhale, exhale, let's get onto energy, and then we'll talk about the other stuff. Yes. So why do we run out of energy?
Okay, there are several reasons. On top of my head, one, either, like I said, before the day of training, it's the way, how is your nutrition? Have you eaten enough? Did you sleep enough? So those two things, they have to be in place. They have to be perfect. Or closer to perfection. And then when you come, so normally when people go for marathons, this is what also I got to learn, was I normally used to go for a marathon in an empty tummy, thinking that it makes me feel lighter. But one of the pro runners told me, Chenai, the night before, have a cake. I'm like, dude, I'm going to run. Won't that make me tired? No, just have a cake or have chocolate. It's going to load up your muscles with muscle glycogen, and you're not going to run out of energy. And for real, I felt guilty though when I took the cake, but hey, the marathon that I did that day, it was the fastest that I've ever done in my life. So you need to load your body with energy.
Oh, I didn't know this.
But I'm not saying you should have cake.
No.
So, for such intense activities, yes, you need to. But for our intents and purposes, we don't really need to do that.
Yeah.
Have a meal, a decent meal, balanced meal, small balanced meal at night. Preferably, I prefer anything before 7 or 7:30 p.m. Let the body digest it, then you sleep. So when you come in the morning, the muscles are loaded with glycogen. You have stored that. Then you can start utilizing. Now, Metabolism, the process by which the body breaks down, food into usable nutrients in the body.
Yeah.
For growth, for repair, for rebuilding. It's a complicated process that we are not going to go through that. But let me just say there are about 4 stages that what you call cellular respiration, and all this takes place in a muscle cell, or it takes place in body cells. So you take your glucose, and then that glucose is going to be there is what they call pyruvate, glucose to pyruvate. Then there is a phosphorylation process that takes place. So it's carbohydrate is a 6-carbon molecule. Then pyruvate is a 3-carbon. So there are 2 of them from the 6 that are produced. Then, so we call that glycolysis. Now that process itself, the source is carbohydrate. So for that first phase to take place, you need carbohydrate. So imagine you don't have enough of it, you're not going to. Obviously, these series are interconnected, step by step, they're interconnected. These biochemical reactions are interconnected. So one, if you run out of the source, obviously you're going to have less energy. Now, after that, there is another phase where your pyruvate, and now depending whether you have oxygen or not, it can be, if you have oxygen, then you have acetyl-CoA, it goes into the Krebs cycle. Then in the Krebs cycle, that's where a lot of ATP molecules are released. Then obviously you have like about 36 of them, 2 from the glycolysis, that makes it 38 ATP molecules from one glucose. Now, if you don't have enough glucose, you're not going to produce enough ATP, and which means you're going to run out of that source. Then you feel your energy levels drop quickly. So nutrition is very essential, and carbohydrate is. So people who starve themselves, like, I'm not having carbohydrates.
Yeah.
I'm just having. I'm just going to have water. I'm just going to have like a soda. I'm going to have a Diet Coke. You're not going to perform because the body uses glucose. Even if you have fat, the body is going to use the glucose as such. Because it breaks down, then goes into the liver. There's what you call gluconeogenesis. Then it also forms glucose from the fat. So depending on the source, then you can have different energy sources. So nutrition is very essential. So why we run out of energy now for someone? So these are systems, and like any other system in the world, the more you keep doing it, the more your body keeps going through this intense process of exercising and training. It becomes very efficient, so much that you have all the ATP molecules being released. But for someone who's coming to the gym, their systems are not efficient enough.
Yeah.
So they run out of energy very quickly because the whole interconnected part of it is not yet working effectively. So it takes time, then the energy levels will go up. And also your heart, like it's a muscle, it becomes very strong, then it starts to release, oxygen to all these other, then you don't get tired quickly as such. Okay. Now also depending on the activity, I mean, if I'm going to sprint on the treadmill at 20 kilometers per hour, I won't go far, maybe 1 minute I'm done.
Okay.
Because you're going to deplete your glucose sources quickly.
Okay.
And also your breathing you're going to run out of oxygen very quickly.
Yeah.
So you're forced to stop because all this requires oxygen. Then if you don't stop, your body will start releasing lactic acid. And that's when you feel the burn, and that is basically telling you, hey, take it easy, take some oxygen, relax, rest, take the oxygen, then you start having all this.
Oh, that's interesting. This is why when I started, I used to get tired easily. And now I'm able to do more. Is that what my systems are more efficient?
Your systems are more efficient, one. Now so your heart now is very strong. It's able to supply the exercising muscles with oxygen and nutrition at a very faster rate. Oh, okay. Yes, because it's like small cars are very efficient. Larger cars are not, because they demand. So imagine when you start training, this is what happens. Your heart releases like let's say for example, for argument's sake, 5 liters of blood. 5 liters of blood. Now when it becomes strong, that 5 liters, it can actually do it in one squeeze because it's powerful. But for someone who's not strong enough, it will take them so many beats, like maybe 10 beats to release the 5 liters. So now if your heart keeps beating too fast, it's like another muscle, it will get tired, then it will just give up on you. Then you're forced to stop, or you're forced to relax and take a deep breath. But for you, because now it's a huge, powerful muscle, it will be like 5 liters in one go. Okay.
That explains it. That explains
So
it.
you don't run out of energy quickly. So you see these guys who run marathons, someone is running at 20 kilometers per hour for 2 hours.
Yeah.
I mean, I tried running for 20 kilometers per hour on the treadmill. I lasted for 30 seconds. So my systems are not yet efficient for that. And also it's the way your muscles are built up. We'll talk about body types later.
Yeah.
Or muscles. There are different types of muscles, the way you are built, then you have different body types. You have your ectomorphs, your mesomorph, and endomorph. That's something for later.
Interesting. Now I understand the difference, why someone can and why someone can't, and how over time you can build it.
Yes.
You can build it. So that also leads us to why the different rep ranges. You know, sometimes we're doing 1 to 4, 6 to 12, and then 12 to 20, and you keep changing that for me every say 2 months.
Every 2 months. So now, okay, for a person who comes into the gym for the first time, one, they're not familiar with the way the body works or how the muscles work.
Yeah.
Their muscles they haven't been taken through that whole routine or performance. So we start with high rep ranges, like your 15 to 20 reps.
Yes. Yeah.
Because as they say, practice makes perfect. So if you keep doing 20 reps, 20 reps, 20 reps, 20 reps, your mind and muscle, they will start to connect over a period of time.
Okay.
Then also research and studies have shown that after a period of 2 months, you can increase your load.
Yeah.
Stimulate the muscles more. You can. When I started with a 2.5 kg, my body is ready to take maybe another 5 kg. So you can load your body more. We call it overloading principle. Then, which means I can't stay at that high rep range. Was the whole idea is not to get tired. There's what you call reps in reserve. So if I'm going to do 15, I should struggle at 12, but I managed to get to 15.
Yes. Yeah.
But if you start struggling at 8 reps, then that's too much for you. That's too much.
Okay.
So we need to structure in such a way that every time when you increase the weight, reduce your reps, increase the weight. So 20. So 1, it allows you to have your neuromuscular coordination. 2, it's more like you're working your stamina because there's a lot of reps that you're doing at the same time. And 3, you become so efficient at what you're doing. So that when you start, if you can manage the smaller weights, then heavier weights, they become easier because now you know what to do. You can perform without even thinking about it. It's like breathing.
Yeah.
When we started, we like inhale, exhale. Now, you don't even think of it because it's now second nature. It's part of you.
Yeah.
So you prepare your body accordingly. Then after another 2 months, you increase the load. You increase the load. So your reps, now for our purposes, we want to build muscles, and also we can't go below 6 reps because also through research and studies here shown that anything below 6 is no longer muscle building range. It's more like strength training, where you're basically loading so heavy that your joints, they have to take some of the strain. So it's about joint stability, joint strengthening. So people who do like 1 rep max, it's heavy. Then they will sit down for 5 minutes just to regenerate the energy. Then they do, so that's strength training. So it's anything from 1 to 4 reps aside. Now, if you're someone who wants to build muscle, that won't work for you because your muscles, they have to go through so many reps such that they don't get too tired, but at the same time you can stimulate them. Then there's a lot of interaction that takes place. That builds muscle. We call it hypertrophy. But also at the same time, it depends with your goal. If I'm here to build muscle, yes, I'm going to stick to between the 6 to 12 range. If my goal is to build or to strengthen, go for heavy weights, I go 1 to 4 or 1 rep max. If my goal is to lose weight, that's why when people come in, they want to lose weight, we play in the high rep range, your 12 to 20 reps. Now, another extreme is especially for people who do CrossFit or who are into body pump classes. You find you can do a lot of series of exercises and sets. Then you end up, by the end of the day, you have done about 500 reps or you've done about 400 burpees, you've done about 200 box jumps.
Yeah.
That has to do with one, to try to push your body to extremes so that one, it becomes like a machine, very efficient, and also your stamina increases. Then that's why these people, they are so lean and cut, because they burn a lot of fat, and at the same time, because they load also their muscles, though they lose a little bit, but their muscles are intact.
Oh, so that's also endurance, right?
That's also endurance.
So what we do in HIIT.
So we call it muscle endurance, because they are using weights, but at the same time, their reps are very high. So it depends with the goal of the person, and also periodization. From the start of the year, was normally someone reaches peak when they hit 7 to 8 months. So you want to structure your program such a way that every 2 months, so after 4 phases, they are at their peak phase.
Yeah.
Yes. So that is, then when you reach your peak, that's your goal. So what is it that you do when you get your goal? You've reached your ceiling. 2 options: either you break through the ceiling, maybe it's a glass ceiling for you, or you decide, okay, let me restart again.
Okay.
So when you restart, you are not going to start from where you were before. You're going to start from where normally we reduce by 50%, then you keep our reps at high reps.
Okay, and that's why we're approaching our peak now, like you said, in July.
July, August. The way I structure my program is such that when you start with me, if you have been with him for a long time, so normally at the beginning of the year, January, February, we have what you call the initial conditioning. We just start to allow the body just to recover. So we do a lot of stamina work, we do a lot of muscle endurance. That's when we keep the high reps, but we reduce our load by 50%. Then also March to April, then we reduce our reps 15 to 20, but we increase the load. Then also May to June, that's when we are right now.
Yes.
Then we are like 3/4 down the road. Then come July, we're going to go up.
Okay.
Yes. So you always look forward to something. You know, it makes it exciting because you always look forward to something.
That's true. And then now between the reps, you know, sometimes, so when I have the burn, like the calves, they burn so quick, the biceps, why is it that certain parts of the body, certain muscles, I don't feel the burn as quick as the others, especially the calves and biceps?
Exactly. So most of these muscles, you've realized that when you do calves, if you do tummy, most of the time it's high reps. Okay. So you do a lot of like 20-20 or 30-30. Yeah. So that's more like your body will run out of run out of oxygen in the muscles because it's not supplying enough. Then your body, instead of going into the Krebs cycle that I talked about, where there's oxidative phosphorylation, or it needs oxygen to release energy, your body goes into what they call lactate fermentation. Now in that lactate, you have lactic acid. Now, it's an acid from the word itself. So that acid is released into the muscles. Now, depending on the nature of the muscle, the calf and the biceps, they're small little balls. They ball up, what you call, they ball up into a small ball. So imagine any acid that is released in the calves, in the bicep. It's not distributed over a larger area. So it bends more because it's too concentrated. Oh. It's too concentrated, it's too concentrated, it's too concentrated, it's too concentrated in a smaller space. But the same thing cannot happen on my legs. Yes. Yes, you build the lag, if you're doing, especially in the muscle endurance, when you go 20 reps, you build that acid, but it's spread over a large surface area. Okay. Then obviously, you won't feel that burn as much. But the acid is there, but it's distributed over a wider area. Then it doesn't burn much. That's why when people are doing calves, you're like, oh my God, this burn is burning. My biceps, I feel the, and then I say like, feel the burn, feel the burn. You should embrace that burn. Now the difference also comes in if you give up. I mean, we thrive in adversity. If your muscles, the moment you feel that burn, you stop. You are not going to go over that threshold. So there's what you call acid tolerance. Allow your body to soak in, the muscles to soak in the acid. When they get used to that acid, you'll find that over time you can tolerate it. And that is what makes the difference between ordinary and an extraordinary. Those who can tolerate the acid, they can do that. That's why you find these marathon guys who can go at 20 kilometers per hour for 2 hours. Now they can tolerate the acid. Though it's oxidative because it's a marathon, but at a certain point they run out of oxygen in certain parts of the body, but they can tolerate it.
Yeah, no, it's helpful when you tell me, you know, and I'm feeling that. I'm feeling the burn and like, go on. If I was on my own, I think I would have given up.
Embrace the burn, obviously to a certain point, but it's like when you feel hunger pain,
Yeah.
It doesn't mean you have to eat at that point.
Yeah.
We thrive in adversity.
Yeah.
The more you delay it a little bit, you allow your body just to do certain things, and also to allow you to be able to cope with it the next time you feel the same thing.
That's so interesting.
Yes.
I can keep asking questions, but I think we need to wrap up for the day.
Yeah.
And we will catch up again with
Absolutely.
and I think go a little over the basics.
Yeah, the other thing that we were talking about,
Yeah.
why is it that when you started you had a 2.5 kg, it was struggle to even do a bench press with a 2.5. Now we are actually attempting, our target this year is about 17.5.
Yes. How?
Less than
How
3
did that
years.
happen?
How is that happen? So we're going to talk about what they call the REM recruitment phase, where your muscles, the more you load them, the more they respond. It's like a stimuli.
Yeah.
They respond to stimuli. So, but you have to do it. It's like you start from the ground floor, first floor, second floor, third floor. When you're in the ground floor, do what the ground floor requires. When you go to the first floor, you have to earn it.
Yeah.
You have to go through the steps. So the same thing.
Yeah.
When you start with a lighter weight, we'll talk more about it.
I will. I think that's a long topic. That's a deep topic. But thank you for always giving me your time, Chenai.
It's a pleasure.
I really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
It's a pleasure.
And see you again.
Absolutely.
See you.